Okay, today we're going to talk about writing equations of a line. I should say equations of a line. We're going to specifically focus on slope-intercept form and point-slope form. So here we go. Slope-intercept form hopefully looks somewhat familiar to you. The M represents the slope. Actually stands for a Latin word, modulo if I remember right, which means slope. The B is the y-intercept. If you recall, y-intercept is where the line will cross the y-axis. The y-intercept. These will be numbers. You'll still keep y and x in the form, and this will be replaced with a number something like 3x plus 2. This would be slope, and this would be y-intercept. So, writing equation in slope-intercept form, you have this, and you have that. Y equals 5x plus 6. Okay, if this was a minus, for example, then it would be y equals 5x plus a negative 6, but it would be preferred that you just write it as 5x minus 6. Okay, we don't want to see two symbols next to each other, these two. So plus a negative is the same as minus 6. This one is the tougher one. You won't know what the slope, you don't know what the y-intercept is, rather. It's not the y value of 6, it's the y-intercept. Where does it touch the y-axis? So if I was to draw a quick little picture, a very quick, inaccurate picture, negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Negative 2, 6 is this point right here. So I'm talking about a line that has a slope of 3. Remember, slope means it rises 3 and runs 1. So 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 and over 1. So this would be the y-intercept. Somewhere around here. Okay, this would be the line that goes through the point negative 2, 6, and it has a slope of 3, and we need to figure out what is this y-intercept, which is the b. Okay, we don't know what it is. So what we do is we start with mx plus b, substitute what you know the slope is 3, this thing, x plus, and you don't know this thing, that's what we're trying to figure out. What is the y-intercept, the b? So in order to do that, we take the point that we know, x and y, and we plug them in place of x and y. And then try to do some math and figure out what is the b. So what is this unknown right here? You can go ahead and put a letter there. Try to solve for b. So this is 6 equals negative 6 plus b. If you add 6 to both sides, you'll end up with 12. This cancels, equals b. Now you can write your equation, because in your equation you need to have the slope, which is 3. You need to have the y-intercept, which in our case is 12. There you go. We're going to do a couple more though. So once again, what is the slope-intercept when you have a slope of 1/3, but you don't know the y-intercept? You just know a point that is on the line. Here's a picture of it. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's say this is negative 1. So 6, negative 1 would be right here. Okay. You have a slope of 1/3. Rises 1, runs 3. Rise 1, 1, 2, 3. It would be right here. Rise 1, 1, 2, 3. Right there, and so forth. Rise 1, 1, 2, 3. We can also go backwards. Down 1 to left 3. Down 1 again to the left 3. And you'll find out that you're going to end up somewhere over here. Okay, so what is this point is what I'm trying to figure out. Where does it touch the y-axis? What is the b? I do know the slope is 1/3. I do know the x-coordinate from this thing is 6. I do know the y-coordinate, one of the numbers from that point, is negative 1. So I got negative 1 equals 1/3, 6, plus some unknown. I don't know what this unknown is. That's what I want to figure out. So I'm just going to keep that as a variable, but that's what I'm trying to figure out. 1/3 of 6. If you happen to know some of your math here, 1/3 of 6 is going to be 2. Or you could take 1/3 times 6 over 1, you multiply fractions straight across, you get 6 over 3. 6 divided by 3 ends up being 2. This means that when you solve for b, this cancels, b will equal negative 3. Now you can write the equation. Think about it. What will it be before I actually write it? Your equation. Replace the slope, replace the y-intercept. Now that you figured out what it is. And you can write the equation. Y equals the slope is told to you to be 1/3 from the very beginning. We just figured out what the b is. The y-intercept. Minus 3. There you go. So you start at negative 3, rise 1, run 3, rise 1, 1, 3, rise 1, run 3, rise 1, run 3. That's how you graph that thing. Point slope form is a slightly different form. This is what it looks like. You replace these red things with numbers. You'll know what the point is. This will be given to you, or you can figure it out or something like that. And this is the slope. It'll be given to you, or you can figure it out. So, for example, whoops, you're not supposed to see all that. Write an equation in point slope form with slope of 4 and goes through the point -3, -1. This is the x1, this is the y1, so x coordinate, y coordinate. Replace what you know. The y1 is -1. I still have equals. I'm going to replace the m and I'm going to replace the x1. M is the slope, that's 4. X minus the x1. X1, as I look up here, is -3. This is it. All I have to do is simplify, clean it up a little bit. We don't like to have two symbols next to each other. Minus and negative, same as plus. I don't need to distribute. All I'm going to do is clean up my signs. That's it. That's point slope form. It has a point, it has a slope written within that form. That's all you need to do for point slope form. Write an equation with slope of 4 through this point. So once again, here's x1, here's y1. You got the formula, or the form I should say. Looks something like this. And then you're going to substitute the x1, y1, and the m. It should look something like this. And I'm just going to clean it up a bit. We don't like to have two symbols next to each other. So I'm going to make this minus a negative, make it a plus. There you go. That's it. Now you can start with this type of point slope form and then convert it to slope intercept form. Instead of solving for b like we did on this thing, or like we did on this thing where you solve for b, you can start with the point slope form when you're given a point and a slope, and then convert the point slope form into slope intercept form. So all you really have to do is take y minus 5 equals 4 times parentheses x minus 1 and solve for y. Get y by itself and it'll start to look like slope intercept form. So to do that we need to distribute. Then you have y minus 5. You're going to go ahead and add 5 to both sides. Add 5 here, add 5 over here with its like terms. That cancels this out. Meaning you get negative 4x plus 9. There you go, slope intercept form. Should look somewhat familiar. Y equals m is the slope, 4. X plus b, in our case, is 9. So this is your slope, this is your y-intercept, and you should be able to graph it if necessary. Alright, I think we're almost done. Okay, write an equation of a line in point slope form and slope intercept form. So if we start with point slope form, the very first thing you need to be able to do is figure out what is a slope. You got 2 points, but you don't have a slope. So this was discussed yesterday in class. Slope formula should look something like this. It's the change in the y values, which is the rise, divided by the change in x values, which is the run. So if we call this one, for example, x1, y1, and this would be x2, y2. And you just substitute the numbers in here. So y2 is negative 13, minus is part of the formula. You're going to minus a y1, which is a negative 5. x2 is right here, negative 4. Minus is part of the formula. You're going to minus an x1. So x1 is going to be negative 2. Make sure you recognize that minus is part of the formula here. And then I replace the y2, y1, x2, x1. And just do your mathematics. Negative 13 plus 5. Negative 4 plus 2. And you should get, I think this is going to be negative 8 over negative 2. Simplifies down to 4. Or slope could be a fraction of 4 over 1. There's your slope. Now, basically, the question is saying, write an equation in point slope form with this as your slope and one of these as your point. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. This is your point slope form. Minus x1. Okay, you replace the y1, the m, and the x1. So it should look something like this. If I use this as a slope, I'm going to put it right there in place of the m. If I use the first point, it'll be y minus a negative 5 and x minus a negative 2. And then you just clean it up. Plus 5. We don't like to have two symbols next to each other. Plus 2. Let it be known that you can also use this point. I'm just going to go ahead and use this one. So if you chose to use that one, you'd be just fine just as well. Now I'm going to take this thing and convert it into slope-intercept form. Okay? And I'm going to pause and then write it down. You try to pause your video and see if you can guess what that's going to be. Convert it to slope-intercept form. And there you go. Distribute the 4. Get rid of this 5 by subtracting, and you should get 4x plus 3. Y equals 4x plus 3. That's slope-intercept form with the slope of 4, which we eventually figured out. And I chose to start with point slope and convert it to slope-intercept form. And that was going to be your assignment, but there you go. If you got any questions, let me know. Thanks.